listening to The Two Marks exclusively on the Pod Station.
Welcome, listeners, to a new show brought to you by The Two Marks. This time, we're embarking on a vicarious journey of discovery through the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hold on to your hats as we follow one person's experiences watching all 25 movies in chronological order. This time, we're reviewing The Incredible Hulk. Welcome to the Marvel Marathon. Hulk Smash! Alright, mate, calm down. Please let me introduce my friend and co-host, Mr. Mark Pollard.
Hi, mate.
Hello!
That was a very succinct introduction, by the way. You kind of ticked all the bases and covered them all off. You still haven't got the title of it right yet, because it's the Marvel Rewatch.
Yeah.
And I would probably take issue with the new reference, given that we're now 4 movies in. Is it still new? At what point does it stop being new?
Latham logic kicks in, and if you've ever heard it, it's the first time, isn't it? So therefore it's new. So when people say, I've got myself a new car, but it's been out for 5 years, it's new to them. However, they might have bought it second hand.
Holy shit, that made sense. Good job, Latham.
Thank you.
Or if I've had the car for 20 years, but it's the first time you've seen it, does that make it a new car?
Yeah, because I might say to you, have you got a new car? And you go, no, I've just washed it. Which is exactly what I said to you before when we were getting our coffee.
Behind the scenes green room look, people.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
Indeed. Should we introduce the star of the show?
Let's not bother. Let's just crack on and see how we get on with that. Let's go an entire episode with not introducing.
Let's introduce the brand new star of the show.
Mr. Mark Pollard. Go on, you do it.
Even that joke is new every time.
Well, yeah, because I'm sure I did it last episode.
You did.
Yeah, but if you're new to this show,
you didn't hear
enjoy
it.
the lols.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ishtar.
Hiya.
How you doing?
Amazing, as always.
You are the star of this sequence of shows.
Even if Latham doesn't want me to be, but that's okay.
He just loves me more. That's okay.
That's all right, yeah.
So, do you want to explain why you are the star of this show, this series?
The Pretender to the Throne.
I'll take it.
Yeah, well, tell us the reason though first.
I am watching all of the Marvel films for the first time in chronological order, having watched one of the series, Loki. I'll just say it because you probably would have heard it. And watching it in a very in-depth way that most people won't, and thoroughly enjoying being nerded out by the two of you.
Yeah, so we're going through chronological order, not release date order. So far we have done Captain America, the First Avenger, we've done Captain Marvel, we've done Iron Man 1, and in this one we're doing...
The Hulk.
The Incredible Hulk. Spoiler
That's just
alert,
an indication. Yeah.
This might be the shortest episode ever.
Probably.
And we're going to keep doing it in chronological order. Ish will obviously be experiencing these for the first time.
Yes.
So we will get her enthusiasm that I once shared when I first went through these films. Latham, who probably still had the enthusiasm when they first came out, but also had a huge well of in-depth knowledge, shall be sharing us said knowledge, and I will be recycling a lot of the things that he told me first time round and trying to pass them off as my own this time round.
And I'm going to be passing them off as my thing as well.
Third time round.
Yeah.
I think it's also important for listeners to note that you two discounted this film as part of Phase 1.
I did it because Pollard did it.
Is that
I believe I'm getting blamed for that.
That's the God honest truth, yeah. Because he was like, no, not part of it, and I'm just following his lead. So this is all you.
Well, having now watched it,
I would reach the same conclusion.
There you go.
So he wasn't wrong.
I mean, it is technically part... In fact, it's more part of the universe because in the spoilers, which we will come to at the end, there is a character who turns up who is very much part of the universe.
Which was the major only highlight of the film.
And General Thunderbolt Ross pops his head above the parapet again further down the line in the future movies, which we won't go in just yet.
Yeah.
So there are elements of it which do pull through. However, they do seem to have gone to great lengths to ignore the existence of this film in any way, shape or form.
This is technically like Marvel adjacent, a bit like when Sean Connery was wheeled back to do a remake of a James Bond film, which was a remake of Thunderball. Never Say Never Again. It's not technically a Marvel. It's not technically a Marvel film.
Well, it's definitely not a Marvel film.
But
Well
it's
done.
also not.
You are right, mate.
Thank you for that for 10 points. It's also not technically a James Bond movie because he was about 50 when he did it, and so this spry young man at the time when he did Thunderball looked a bit old, and it's aged badly. Apart from the fact it's aged badly, I do love it though. So anyway, yes, but it is actually Phase 1, but because of rights and ownership, it's not on Disney.
Well, yeah, the fact that it's not on Disney and it was a pain in the ass to actually watch it did not help.
That's really
It's
stupid,
annoying.
isn't it?
It's really annoying.
Because Spider-Man is not...
Well, that's not on Disney either.
Is it not?
No.
Oh.
So you're going to have exactly the same problem.
Why would they not allow them to have it on Disney, given how much money Sony have made from the Spider-Man films that are part of this Marvel universe? It seems utterly ludicrous that they don't have access to these films.
Well, maybe because this marks the new film that's not even out yet, that's out at Christmas. It marks the end of the contract that Tom Holland has with Sony/Marvel. So it would make sense, looking at what films are coming out in about a week's time, that Sony are creating their own thing. That's another deep conversation. However, it will explain why certain rights won't be on Disney.
Now, we watched this film together, didn't we?
Yes.
Did.
Friends.
Aww.
Hulk friends.
Hulk friends, yeah.
Indeed.
We all pitched up in Latham's office.
Got pizzas.
Pizzas.
It was delish.
And sat, bless him, he set it up like a proper little theatre.
It was
as well,
very
didn't he?
cute, Latham.
He put loads of effort in.
It was
I know he comes across on this as a proper bell end.
But he is
And
real.
in fact, he is a proper bell end. But every now and again, there is this little glint of humanity that oozes out ever slightly. I'm sure it's by accident, but it still happens.
Yeah, it creeps out like a dark passenger, like a symbiote. It's like Venom, isn't it? It just pops out going, "I will eat you all," and I go, "No, don't, just get pizzas."
So we watched it here, and yes, perhaps we should get... Well, I suppose before we get into it, I should do some housekeeping, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Make sure your phones are off and the trays are in the upright positions.
Exits are here. If you want to listen to those previous episodes that we have already mentioned about the Marvel Rewatch, then if you go to the 2 Marks, we're on all the major podcast platforms, then you can go and subscribe and you'll be able to access all of those episodes and listen to them. You can check us out on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. It's at the 2 Marks. So we've got lots of funny stuff, including lots of videos of Latham, which have been posted without his express permission.
I don't think he's even seen the last one.
I haven't seen any. I never see any of these.
Love
I live vicariously through you two. I've got the best following, but don't even know.
No, it's brilliant.
So go and check them out.
That's a meme right there.
I'll make sure it gets added.
Go and check those out. Give us a follow. Direct messages on there if you've got any comments or thoughts about the show, any questions, if you want to ask us something, if you have an opinion that differs from us, you can send us an email to the 2 Marks at thepodstation.co.uk. Also, if you go to thepodstation.co.uk, you'll find the 2 Marks channel. And as I said before, on all of the major podcast platforms, because we have done a plethora of other stuff, haven't we, Mr. Latham?
Yes, and more to come.
So what kind of stuff is on there for people to enjoy?
Okay, so if you take yourself over to the Podstation, you'll find that there is stuff for Star Trek fans, specifically Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Picard. And we will be adding to those as the new seasons pop out, whenever that is. And along with, we're most likely going to do Brave New Worlds one as well, I imagine.
Yeah, of course.
Why not? If you are a bit of a film buff, you might want to have a listen to a Film Podyssey, which will be covering films and also specials. I think we covered El Camino, the spin-off of Breaking Bad. And then you've won
Suicide Squad.
Well, there's loads on there, isn't there? There's films and TV.
At the point of this coming out, the James Bond one will be out.
There will be, yes. So the James Bond, listen to that one.
Listen to that one, because I think that will be interesting to see whether Latham will self-implode.
We might not even have another episode after that. Let's see. But yeah, tune into that one. We've also got the Loki series, which is how Ishtar gagged in. That was good. We enjoyed that, didn't we?
We did. We thoroughly enjoyed that.
And then there is a WandaVision one. So there's 2 parts to that. We've got to record the third and final one. There will be Mandalorian.
Yeah.
We'll probably do a Book of Boba Fett that's out at Christmas.
Yeah, we'll do some more Marvel ones. We've got Shang-Chi one.
Shang-Chi's up there as well.
There's loads. Yeah. So you can either go on those individual channels or just go to the 2 marks where actually it's all in one place, isn't it?
It's easier, isn't it? Because can't they just subscribe?
Yeah.
Then it's that easy, isn't it?
As I have done.
How do you listen to yours?
Apple
Play.
Yeah, podcast thing.
I'm Apple Podcasts as well.
So
Go Apple.
Spotify.
Woo! If they'd like to be a sponsor of the show, the 2 marks at the pod station.
Your content is
.co.uk.
great as an impartial person.
But you're on it now, so technically
Not
that
my
makes
stuff
you
with
slightly
you
vague.
guys, but like your guys' stuff is great. Yeah.
Okay.
We've got a fan. Boom!
Big time
It's only
fan.
taken 2 years.
We have a listener, people.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we move on to this show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The show that isn't really part of the Marvel Universe, but is part of the Marvel Universe, but quite frankly shouldn't be part of the Marvel
Amen.
Universe.
Totally.
Okay, Ish, let's start with you. Tell us what your thoughts are about
What
this
a
film.
shit film. We came off the high of Iron Man. Exactly.
Say how you mean it, Ish.
Hold back.
It's shit. I was so enthused by Iron Man, as you will know if you listen to the podcast. And then, I didn't have any preconceived ideas of the Hulk because I've never seen the Hulk. Obviously, I know that you don't like Edward Norton, so I was
He's a bell end, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's
we
a
know
bell
that,
end.
and I know that. But, I was like, okay, let's just watch it. It was shit. I can't tell you anything else. It was so shit. I didn't even write a lot of notes for this because
Well, you didn't write any.
How many notes have you got?
I'm not being funny.
mental notes that I've taken from Pollard. But other than that,
And we all know how my note taking
Oh my
goes.
word. Okay, well if that's the case, that's bad, isn't it?
this episode's literally going to be 10 minutes as far as I'm concerned because it was just shit. And no humour. It didn't make, like, the fact that they ran through the beginning of it very quickly. Shit. Character shit. Shit.
Well, there it is. We've got an 18 rating for this episode.
Yeah. Tune in if you've got a parent and guardian sitting in the room with you.
What did you think, Latham?
I didn't mind it.
Oh.
No, but let me explain. And because I understand the constraints and restrictions when you don't own the property. So what you will have is what's going to foreshadow our James Bond podcast is when you have one person with a creative vision and another person steering it, and those two don't marry up because Universal own the rights to the Hulk and it's a Marvel property. That's the reason why it's not on Disney. If it was on Disney, you both would have a different opinion. You might not still like the movie, but it would still be classed as phase 1, and it still is. But that's because the Marvel Universe don't own the rights to the Hulk.
In terms of date release order for this film, did this come out the same year as Iron Man, which was the first one? And did it come out before or after Iron Man?
Came out after Iron Man.
Was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's part of phase 1.
Right.
That's how phase 1 works.
No, but
No, yeah.
I'm trying to get the order in which it
Yeah,
came
so
out.
it was Iron Man first, then it was the Incredible Hulk, then it was Iron Man 2, then it was Winter Soldier, Thor, Avengers.
Because I guess if I'm being charitable, you could maybe argue that this was right at the beginning of Marvel's adventures. They've only done Iron Man, so they're still finding the style of films that they're doing. And because they don't fully own the rights, that perhaps weakens their ability to produce a film like Iron Man, and therefore being charitable, that perhaps gives me a minuscule amount of sympathy. But by the same token, the film was absolutely dog shit.
I mean, yeah. I was
In terms of chronological order, it's what is known as Nick Fury's busiest week, because all that happened in a week. Iron Man and Incredible Hulk and the Thor's hammer all happened in a week.
Well, the first week would have been more fun than the second week.
I'll say.
So, but as I say, I think that's why it's lost its strength in terms of, I suppose, watchability, because it wasn't being helmed by Marvel. There wasn't any deals at that time, because as Mark says, it was the second movie in that sort of style, So basically, Marvel were going to go bankrupt, went to the bank and went, we've got this idea for a series of films. Iron Man's going to be the first one. And they went, all right, we'll underwrite it. And then the second one was Incredible Hulk. They went to Universal. Universal went, yeah, you can use the character. We want some payoff, but we're going to produce it as well. Marvel had no creative control in so much as like they do now. And then Sony, fast forward to today, because Sony know they've got a good money-making opportunity, they've allowed Marvel to write all it, and all Marvel do is say, you can do all the marketing, we'll make the movie.
Yeah.
And that's why Spider-Man, because even if you look at the other Spider-Man movies, the Sam Raimi ones, they're not that great. And they get worse as they go on. And even the one with Andrew Garfield, they were quite good ones. But even then, they started going a bit top-heavy with villains. They didn't learn from Batman, or Batman Returns even. Too many villains spoil the broth. That's my adage.
Everything that you love about the Marvel films was not present in this film.
So what is that? What have you loved about the Marvel films up to this point that makes you say that?
The humour, the unexpected twists and turns, the fact that you can buy into the characters, the strong female characters, as we've mentioned in the previous podcasts, the fact that you become invested in each of the characters. I mean, I don't care if I don't ever see a Hulk ever again after this. I mean, that is just pants.
It doesn't start off on the right foot with the intro.
No, because I completely lost that, and it's only when you guys told me that was actually the precursor to the actual film. If you hadn't have said that, well, I missed it anyway because I didn't watch it again.
Well, the Ang Lee version that had Eric Banner playing Bruce Banner, that was named David Banner, which we'll get into later, is worse. However, what it does do is take a little bit of time to explain and how he ends up getting, well, in their version of it, not the comic version, but they explain how he ends up getting gamma radiation.
Yeah.
Your point is well placed in so much as we're supposed to, in the introduction, understand.
Get that feel.
Yeah. And the other thing, which I'm going to explain why this film sucks balls, is because, unfortunately, the studios, not Marvel, but Universal, allowed Belen Norton to write the screenplay for it. So that's all him. So if you want to blame someone, blame Belen Norton. Because exactly all the things that you're saying that you are used to in a Marvel film are exactly right, and so Marvel had no control. The Universal thought he would be a big draw for film goers because it was on the back of a couple of films that he'd done, and they were probably good, decent films. I can't remember the ones at the time.
Sleepers he's done.
He did the one where he played someone who'd been convicted of killing someone, and he played it down that he was a bit suffering with mental issues.
Schizophrenia was it? I can't remember what that one is. That's a brilliant film.
That is a prime suspect.
It's something like that, yeah.
Well, he was on the back of that. He was in with one with not Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, where he played a thief, and I think he also wrote the screenplay for that. But he kept asking for more money, and he was a complete knob. So that's the reason the film isn't as good as what you'd expect from Marvel, because Marvel had no creative control. They just churned this out, and Universal went, yeah, you can use the Hulk.
Yeah, I mean, because we've watched the last three, you don't have an expectation that you're going to get a full perspective of the character within the opening credits, so it was not expected that was going to happen. So if you've watched in chronological order the other films as we're watching, that was confusing, because that story should have been told throughout the movie, not in the first 2 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it was.
As a non-comic book reader, the appeal from Iron Man is that they go to great lengths to explain him and his background and him as a person quite in detail throughout the film, and actually that sort of beginning first half an hour is very much
you're
that way.
You're setting the scene for the character.
And this one doesn't do any of that, does it? In fact, they try and squeeze it in the intro, not in a particularly clear manner.
No.
And if you don't know anything about this character, you
flew over my head.
Belen Norton.
Would the film have been considered better had they done that intro properly? So let's say they had spent half an hour giving you a background to the character. Would that have made the film that you then experienced any better?
No.
I think if Universal had, bear in mind, there's a lot of things taking place in 2008. It's the second movie, and Marvel, as you said, haven't found their footing yet. But even Iron Man, sets up how they do movies, because I know we're doing it in chronological order. So if you think about how it sets up Captain America, there's a preamble to where he's come from. So you know a little bit about Captain America, even if you don't know Captain America in general. So that's Marvel controlling that vehicle, as is Iron Man. When you get to Universal saying to Marvel, yeah, you can use the Incredible Hulk as part of your phase, and then Edward Norton says, I'm not going to be in it unless I write it, and unless I get creative control over what happens, who does this, who does that. He also, I think he gets a producer credit as well. So not only has he got writing control, he's got control of what happens in the movie, which is a lot of control to give someone, because they're an arsehole. So if Marvel had said, like they did with the Ang Lee, well, they didn't do the Ang Lee one either, they had nothing to do with that, that's 2002. So if the Ang Lee movie had done something similar where they did a little bit of exposition and Marvel had the control, you would have ended up, I guarantee it, with another Iron Man type film, as in, you know, the way that you like it. What were you going to say? Sorry.
Well, I was smiling when you went arsehole because I was thinking of that memory pen that he swallowed.
Oh, Lord. Later on in the... Yeah. Oh, Lord.
Just plug him in.
Well, I was just hoping it... I would have been hoping he didn't come out sideways.
No.
Oh, but it came out when he was Hulk.
Ew.
We made it like a polyp.
Oh, God.
Maybe that's why he's angry. Maybe he's got like proper piles and he's like, because I mean, if you say don't strain, don't know when you're going to toilet. In other news,
is one of the major problems with this film the complete lack of giving a shit about making sure that things make sense or are done properly.
Yes. You're going to talk about clothes, aren't you?
I mean, dressing the way I dress, I have no right to comment on any form of clothes. No. You explain.
Well, before you do, tread very carefully on the clothing, because I actually have an explanation for what you might be bringing up as clothing.
What, the fact that you can be a human size and then you become a giant size and just your pants rip and you don't become completely naked? How is that logical?
Because the pants are made by Mr. Fantastic.
To make them super stretchy. Yeah, but that's not explained at all in the film.
Not at all.
You can't just make that shit up. Bearing in mind,
you're welcome.
Bearing in mind, me and Ish don't read the comics. You can't tell us that that's the thing.
Yeah.
Without an explanation.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we reach that conclusion. It's fine you telling us that now, but there'll be people listening to this who...
I agree, you're right. No, it is. But to be fair, those are things that you probably won't need to know. The important thing is...
Well, you do need to know, because it doesn't make sense.
Have you never woken up in the park naked?
Well, lots of times.
Just me then. But no, you're right. The clothing, particularly, which is more of a issue, is the fact that the trousers stay on. I imagine you don't want to see a bell end, do you?
I mean, no, but it should make logical sense, or there should be something, as we said, that alludes to the fact that this is the reason why it happens.
My major bugbear of any film is if I have to read the material source to understand the film I'm watching. Because if otherwise, you should have as a precursor warning when I go to buy a ticket to the film, it should say, if you haven't read the book, or if you haven't played the game, then you will not want to watch this film because you won't get it. At which point I'll go, okay, I'll keep my hard-earned money for a film which I will get. If you want me to part with my cash, or I part with my cash and you haven't told me that I need to read every Hulk bloody comic in order to fully immerse myself in all of the DNA of this character, and then give me a film that doesn't fill in the blanks, or doesn't at least give me the basic information, and therefore when I'm watching it makes zero sense, I, as a Yorkshireman, are going to come out feeling really pissed off that I've spent far too much money watching crap.
Yeah, but that's how I felt about the opening credits as well, and then it just continued to be ludicrous, which is why I've lost interest pretty quick. That was all in the first 5 minutes of the bloody film.
I'm speechless. Norton. Latham has already mentioned his feelings towards the individual himself. What did we think to him? And I'm going to split this up into two parts. What did we think of him as Bruce Banner? And then we'll go on to what we thought of him as Hulk. And indeed the design of Hulk and the characteristics of Hulk. So let's start with Bruce Banner. What were your feelings towards old Brucey-ish?
I have no feelings towards Bruce Banner. It's as simple as that.
Why?
because I didn't get his backstory enough at the start of the film, and so he was just a guy that just turned green, and he was a bit weak. He was too skinny, and not skinny in a nice way like Captain America. He was just skinny pathetic, which was not nice. And then he just got really angry and turned into Hulk. I didn't really like it.
Well, you say it's not skinny like Captain America, but he's 8th in your top 10.
Yeah, I know that, but he didn't have the charm of Captain America, even if Captain America is number 8 on my list. Edward Norton is definitely not going to be in the list because he's just too wet.
He is wet, isn't he?
Super wet.
Yeah, but let's
what did you think about Banner? Because you've spoken about Eric Banner's David Banner.
So the Ang Lee 2002 Hulk movie, Eric Banner wasn't a bad casting for the Hulk. In fact, actually,
he's a good actor.
He is, and he's a bit more. You don't want this character to be buff because the purpose of him isn't to look like he can lift up a JCB axle and throw it across the room. He's not Thor. The same as Iron Man isn't supposed to be buff. He has a bit of muscle and he works out. You can see he can work out, but he's not Thor. He's not Captain America. Because otherwise, why have you got a contrast? If you've got The Rock who turns into the Hulk, why do you need the Hulk? Because you've got The Rock and he's fucking massive. So Bruce Banner is meant to be a scientist just bimbling around doing sciencey stuff. He hasn't got time for the gym. He's too busy trying to work out the human genome. Therefore, you don't want him to be too weedy, but at the same time, you want him to know that you can buy into the fact that his characteristics are he's just a scientist.
But he was too weedy and very wet. It's not about his physical thing. It's just the fact that he was bleh.
Oh, he was a whiny little bitch.
Proper.
Yeah, well, that's because Bellend Norton wanted to play it that way. And nobody was going to say no because he's also executive producer.
Did you think he was wet fart?
I thought, I didn't think the casting was particularly good. Not because I don't like him, because I'd seen him before. And I suppose when you hear stories afterwards, it tarnishes how you see people. A bit like when Daniel Craig responded, he'd rather slit his wrist. If you put that into context, he'd been away from his family for like 14 months. So he probably would, and he's probably been in press junkets all the live long day being asked the same bleeding question. So he probably just said it. He obviously doesn't want to because he did another one. So Edward Norton, we have to take the stories as they are, but I know for a fact that the other film he did had the same outcome, and it's why Marvel didn't carry him across when they recast him.
Yeah.
So there's a reason for that, and I think that was a good decision commercially.
Yeah.
Do I like him as Bruce Banner? No, I don't. I think his acting, although good, he didn't turn up.
He's horrible.
He didn't turn up for work on that occasion. I think he thought he could probably just breeze by. The same reason as like Blade, they had to CGI his eyes in because he wasn't going to play ball. Who was the other guy who did the role just for a payday? Christopher Eccleston, when he did Thor: The Dark World, he's gone on record saying he just did it for a payday. I think Edward Norton just turned up for the money and then went bye.
He's a bit wet. There's no humour either in that character at all.
There's no humour in this film, period.
He's deadpan serious.
It's horrible.
He's like... He isn't just serious, he's seriously serious.
Yeah, he's really self-serving. He's
very intense.
Yeah, he's very intense. He just wants to cry about the fact that he's got this superhuman power. And, I feel so bad about the fact that I've got this superhuman power because I can't be friends with anyone. It's like, yeah, you can, because if anyone tries to kill you, just turn into the Hulk and then no one can destroy you.
Well, it also goes against his characteristic anyway, because the reason he ends up being the Hulk is because he puts himself last. He protects someone else in the comics, so he throws someone else out the way of the gamma rays to take the full blast in the face. So you'll know this.
No.
Basically, that's out of his character. That's what he's done. He's put himself. Another meme right there. So he obviously is playing this as if he's like going for an Oscar win.
You're getting the death stare right now.
# bothered.
What about the Hulk then? Because I think we've all established that we thoroughly hate Banner.
He's a bell end. Bruce Banner's great.
Yeah, but
Edward Norton's a bell end.
And Edward Norton plays Bruce Banner like a bell end.
Yeah, both bell ends.
What about the Hulk? Because, I mean, obviously we could never talk about the deep and meaningful soul-reaching storyline of Hulk. So it's not really him as a character, is it? However, the design, we'll talk about this to a degree, because the design of Hulk in this one is different to what we will see in the future. So what did you... We'll start with you, Ish. What did you think about what I can only describe as hairy Hulk?
Shit.
I will look forward to editing this, because I think this is going to be really short.
Shit, it's boring.
Why don't you like him?
Unrealistic. Not...
Green, massive things unrealistic for you.
Hey.
You have to think about that.
We've had some aliens in the previous films that were very realistic. Like the Skrull.
I think what weirds me about the Hulk in this film is that he's got a head of hair like those babies that sometimes pop out where they've got a prop head of it, and you go, I'm sure I'm supposed to look at that baby and think that's cute, but there's something slightly weird about a child that's just literally popped out of the inside of a human being and has more hair than I have.
The CGI just wasn't great, was it?
No.
Well, it was poor.
Yeah.
It was poorer than Captain America. Chris Evans is on the body thing that bothered me for a little bit, but then didn't. But this bothered me the entire way through.
I think he felt too human.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely spot on with regards to the special effects and the CGI, because it's not Marvel Studios running the show. I mean, I'd even argued that Edward Norton said, I'll do it in Photoshop or something. And he went, all right, Edward, you're paying all the money, we're paying you big bucks, just whatever you want, mate. He probably went, oh yeah, I'll just do it. I'll just wear a green suit and you can just paint that in. So I probably think that's part of the reason. But the other thing is, well, if you'd have seen the Ang Lee version, that was even worse, because I think Ang Lee just spent the time running around being angry, pretending, and basically the CGI people modelled it on him.
Okay.
So it's come a little bit of a way, but the best decision by far, whether they own the rights to it commercially or they don't, is what they've done with it now, yeah. Well, jibbing off, recasting it, but actually doing it. I mean, can you talk about it? It's supposed to be spoilers.
I think we can, because we're not spoiling any storylines, and I think if anyone's watching these films, they're probably aware that they change the casting of the Hulk and redesign him as well, don't they?
Yeah, the best thing that Marvel did is model the Hulk's transition on Mark Ruffalo.
That's it. That's what was missing from my brain in talking about the Hulk. It's that they look the same person, don't they? Yeah. That Hulk doesn't look anything like Edward Norton.
No, just be a bigger bell end. Just be a big massive bell.
Whereas who is it who plays
Mark Ruffalo?
Mark Ruffalo. The Hulk in the future movies, Mark Ruffalo when he's playing Bruce Banner and Mark Ruffalo when he's playing the Hulk look the same. There's multiple things, and we'll perhaps go through these. There are multiple things in this film that just make it ridiculous and stupid because it belies all logic, and perhaps this is why you and I have reached the same conclusion that it's a pap film. So we've got, how many claws does Banner go through?
Oh, loads. In fact, he probably buys them from Oxfam now because they're just cheaper to get, aren't they?
Primark, yeah.
Primark, yeah.
We've got the fact that whenever he turns into the Hulk and people want to catch him, there seems to be zero consideration
my God.
For anyone or anything else.
Not only that, they try the same shit every time and it still doesn't work. Guns do not kill the Hulk. Stop shooting that shit.
It's true though, isn't it?
Yeah.
They just kept on firing those missiles.
Like, yeah.
Bigger
and it's
ones.
the army. I mean, catch the drift. It didn't work.
Well, we're still one of the scenes. They're they're on a university campus.
Yeah,
and they're just firing missiles, irrespective of the fact that there might be a student, a very conscientious and hardworking student who might have the cure for cancer rattling around in their head, wandering from lecture to lecture, only to be blown up by a loose missile that's been fired in their random direction by an army who gives zero fucks about anyone else in that vicinity.
Ridiculous. Seriously ridiculous.
What did you think, Lady?
No, I agree. Obviously, when they're trying to... when they had particularly the scene you're talking about with the campus, when they had a helicopter as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they
helicopter gunship.
And tanks.
I mean, they're just shooting that shit everywhere.
Then the guns were obviously bouncing off him.
Yeah.
You would have thought, as you say, I can't say anything different, that you probably would have just stopped shooting. Yeah, or come up with... See, this is the thing that Marvel would have done. Marvel would have gone, bullets don't work, save yourself filming that scene. However, one of our Avengers has come up with a special type of bullet. Hawkeye's got an arrow.
Yes.
And all we're going to do...
This is what was missing.
Well, we've got, what's his face?
Abomination.
And actually what would have been better is that the army try and lay traps to funnel neck the Hulk to a certain location where Abomination...
Yeah.
And it might be that they try him as the human version first, and then that fails, so they upgrade it, and they just, it's like a trial and error as to how they're able to combat the Hulk, and doing it that way. Whereas they didn't; they just keep on randomly firing stuff until something works, and
which it didn't.
It didn't. No.
The thing when they were trying to get Emil Blonsky, what they're trying to do is super soldiers. The whole, as per usual government experiments. MK Ultra, to note 1, don't work very well. So the reason Abomination ends up being there is nothing to do with the government other than a rogue soldier who wants to be better than he is and can't wait. So he takes all of the serum and ends up being Abomination, which then the government can't control. So that's the reason that happens. But what they were aiming for is super soldiers again.
Can I just say I was quite... The only thing I was excited about this movie was the introduction of Abomination, because you keep talking about him, Latham, and I was like, who's Abomination? Who's Abomination? I was like, oh my God, it's Abomination. But that was it.
What did you think about Abomination then? It's Tim Roth's character, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of Abomination?
I liked Tim Roth as an actor. I think he's
all right, isn't he?
He's not bad.
I don't know, he plays a very similar person in all his roles.
I know, but I mean...
He's not a wide and diverse character.
He hasn't got a broad range, has he?
Yeah.
No, he is right, actually, but he does play them very well. The one type.
Yeah.
The Cockney geezer. Although he did start off with the dodgy American accent.
Yeah, he did, and then it transformed.
Actually, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned that, because that was one thing one of you two picked up on.
We both did, actually.
Because he starts off...
Yankee,
pseudo-American,
and then
English. He just goes,
yeah.
No, listen, I can't do an American. We only do Cockney. I can't even do Northern English.
We picked it up exactly.
All right, mate. I'm Abomination.
Apples and pears. Let me break your stairs.
Yeah, it's like, got any Cockney slang?
Oh, shit.
Hello.
There you go. That's what he
as well. Yeah, can I have some jelly deals?
Yeah, but in a shit film with lots of shit characters, he shone a little bit brighter than everyone else, let's be honest.
Well, again, on the success of Reservoir Dogs, so you've got some big hitters on. You see, what the idea is, from a money-making point of view, before you have the juggernaut that is Marvel/Disney, you've got Universal, who's trying to go, how do we get people to turn up at the cinema? And it's all about the names. That's why you have that many criticisms for people who go, well, you ain't going to cast people if you don't know who the fuck they are. So it's all well and good. I mentioned it in the Shang-Chi review. It's all well and good having these people, but I bet you couldn't name who they've been in.
Yeah.
So what they do is they purposely cast these people because they know someone's going to go and see Channing Tatum or Hugh bloody Laurie or whatever their name is. They're going to see him because they're massive names. That's it. That's all the reason. It's just about the old money. So Tim Roth, great actor on the back of Reservoir Dogs, and Belen Norton.
He was actually a good character in this. He was probably one of the few characters that I actually really bought into. I thought he played it well. Even without knowing any backstory to the guy, you kind of understood why he was already a mean fighting machine. Yeah. And you can understand why he wanted to upgrade, because he didn't like losing a fight. Yeah. And then when he kept on getting his ass kicked, he kept on wanting an upgrade and an upgrade and an upgrade until eventually he turns into Abomination.
Spot on. Yeah.
And that actually makes sense. And because he was so mean and horrible about it all, and quite, dare I say, brave when he was sort of the human form of Abomination, and Hulk's weighing down on him and smashes him into that tree. I'm not sure I'd have been standing there.
Well, that's a turning point of him, isn't it? Because that, what you've just said there, is the movie trope that you see across lots of films, where you have usually a military police type person who wants to get the baddie, whatever, but because he'd been injected with the serum, he was getting that sort of circular thing where he was seeing how powerful he was, because he was having a good fight with him, considering he's still in, as you say, human's form. He was getting off on the fact that he was actually going toe-to-toe with the Hulk until the Hulk threw him into a tree and killed him, essentially. They then resurrected him, gave him more serum, which basically body started turning into all sorts of God knows what. That was a turning point.
That's like me in the morning, that.
Without your caffeine.
Yeah, well, just in the morning period. Even if you give me caffeine, it still takes a couple of hours for me not to be the abomination.
So he was already on an end road to that outcome, and because he's basically one of these military people who just wants to get the job done.
Yeah.
It's like the detective that doesn't know how to close the case, or the policeman with the villain who gets away. They want to get it done.
Yeah.
So he ends up overdosing on what ends up being the leader near the end of the film. So Abomination is a creation of his own inability to let go, and the military pushing for super soldiers that ultimately they can't control.
Yeah. Shitty CGI with him as well, to be honest. Wasn't really that
They've
impressed with
improved
the
it now, haven't they?
Yes, with Abomination. But his character, as you both rightly say, was the one that you at least understood why he was doing what he was doing, and you were kind of invested in it. Can we also mention Liv Tyler, who normally I love?
Well, we'll come to her in a second. I wanted to say the interesting thing about Abomination is he isn't killed at the end. Now, we won't elaborate because it's something in the future, but Abomination does reappear and technically still on the chessboard, so to speak, in the Marvel world, isn't he?
He is.
Which, given we quite like the character, even in this shitty film, still is quite an exciting prospect.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the time, one of the takeaway points was Abomination and Tim Roth's portrayal of the character. Fans loved that. Although one of the questionable moments in the film is his CGI'd six-pack, which is pretty grim. Edward Norton there with his pen, the stylist. I'll draw them in. All right, Edward, crack on.
Now, before we do Liv Tyler, I wanted to stick with the baddies because, of course, we've got General Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah.
What did you think about General Thunderbolt Ross?
A prick.
She's not giving you anything to work with here, is she?
There's a theme.
Well, I mean, he's obviously supposed to be a prick because he's a bad guy.
He's also a general in the army.
Yeah, but are you talking about how he was played, what part he played in the story, or just him as a person?
Well, he's a pretty shit general, to be honest, because he's getting people to shoot shit at something that's not getting killed, and he continues to do it.
Can I just say he's a general?
And he has a complete disregard for his daughter, and he's not doing the necessary due diligence, in my humble opinion, that he should do in order to get rid of a baddie.
And he's trying to weaponise something that is uncontrollable. Yeah. Because bearing in mind, you've just seen the Hulk, which turns into an uncontrollable monster.
And then you just create an abomination. Yeah. And then wonder why the hell shit hits the fan at the end of it. I mean, what an idiot.
Well, what he's aware of is the super soldier program from Captain America, and he knows it works. What he's trying to do is replicate that. Now, the oversight is the American government. He's not doing it. He hasn't gone rogue. He's actually been given...
I know, but he knows it didn't work.
Well, it did, though, didn't it? Well, no, Bruce Banner wasn't never meant to happen. That was an accident.
No, but...
So the serum that he's using, that Bruce Banner's working on, isn't actually anything to do with how the Hulk is about. The problem becomes that he sees the Hulk... He's got the super serum, and he's trying to take what's the Hulk stuff and combine it with the super serum. So what he's doing is he's essentially trying to play God. And as we know, it never works. Has nobody seen Alien? So you don't need to weaponize things. Just let people be. Because the super soldier thing worked out really well. Unfortunately, let's be honest about it. It's the worst kept secret ever. Because the Russians got it. Hydra got it. The Germans got it. The Nazis
I got it one Christmas.
Yeah, as a little vial for your birthday, or for Christmas, So
I haven't drunk it yet, as you can tell.
Because you're like that. He'll just be there with no pants on. Well, actually, he won't. He'll have loads of pants and nothing else. Panty Pollard, he'll be known as. But that's what so Thunderbolt Ross has gone. All he is interested in, because obviously in the comics he creates his own little team, so he's only interested in having loads and loads of people that can be powerful people, and because he knows Captain America worked, he's trying to replicate that. But again, he's myopic. He's been just laser sight focused. That's why he doesn't get on with his daughter, because he's not interested in things that pin you down.
Yeah, but I mean, the other baddies in all the other films were much better and much more thoughtful than this baddie.
What other films?
Captain Marvel.
Red Skull.
Yeah, Captain America.
Really much more thoughtful.
Well, what did you choose, Red Skull? Where's Red Skull on your list? There's a reason you have a list, so we can check you on it.
Yeah, compared to this...
You're just saying words, though.
Latham, compared to this film, which is just horrible. I mean, now I have a massive appreciation, and that's the whole point of doing this review, isn't it? That we're going through and we're having a reflection of our previous ratings and looking at all the previous films and thinking, oh shit, probably should have thought about that a little bit differently.
Red Skull's number 7 on yours.
Is he?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Thunderbolt Ross is actually a character who also survives this shit show.
But also doesn't get recast either, does he?
No.
He's a horrible actor anyway. Who plays him?
I think he actually does it. I
don't
think William Hurt.
Sorry, William Hurt, yeah. William Hurt has actually been in some quite pretty good roles.
I think he's a good actor, and he certainly plays a good Thunderbolt Ross further down the line. He naturally doesn't do the great job, but I think that's more this script and incompetent directing which lets him down, because again he's a good baddie. He's quite a complex person, not just because he's got this laser focus, but it's the things he sacrifices in order to just remain focused.
Yeah.
Because that, and this brings me nicely on to the strong female character in this film.
Is she though?
No, I was being facetious.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say.
I was opening it up to you to say that she's shit.
Hell no, she is shit. And I love Liv Tyler. I think she's great. She's another one of those actresses that plays like similar roles. She's always like, oh, let me fairy man.
She's always got that soft-spoken thing going on.
I've worked with Liv Tyler.
Hang on, I'm just going to bend down and pick up that name who's just dropped on the floor.
What is that noise? It is a name drop.
Would you like to explain?
Yeah, I worked with her on...
the actual Liv Tyler?
Yeah, she's lovely.
Okay.
She shared my scene.
Until the restraining order kicks in, he gets to meet loads of people.
Liv, how about this? I can't even get my thigh down now.
I'm really impressed with your flexiness there.
Isn't it good? Wait till I do my Black Widow land. I won't be able to get up and shatter my thigh and my knee in two places. I've got cramp in my arse now. That's what Edward Norton said.
So when he was producing that memory pen.
Yeah. He's like, Edward, just get that man. He probably had that. It's his method. He probably did shit it out. That's why he's probably angry.
I didn't do it the first time, right? So I need to swallow another one.
Yeah, the director's like, Edward, could you just swallow another couple of pens? Oh my god.
Then they were taking a sweepstake to see how long it'd take. How many stitches he'd need. It's taken 3 hours, so Steve has won.
Yeah. Steve, choreographer, he's got £20 in the pot. No, going back to Liv Tyler. Yes, I was in a scene with her in a BBC drama called Gunpowder.
I mean, amazing.
And she is lovely, actually, because
I imagine her to be.
She is. No, she didn't know her lines. And she literally had her lines on her phone right up until the director said action, and then we kind of struggled. I mean, I knew her lines very quickly, but I
bet you don't deliver them the same way, though. I'm not sure I'd have the same feelings for you saying the words that Liv Tyler would say.
Well, I'm not busty, am I? So I'd have to go, ooh.
No, it's not about the bust. It's the angelic face, which you clearly don't have.
Yeah.
You've been corrupted all your life.
It's that softly. It's that very softly spoken. I mean, the elfish she does in Lord of the Rings is absolutely her. Yeah,
I'm extremely elfish. Oh no, selfish. No, she's lovely, and she actually speaks to you and says hello, which is not always what happens because they're in the zone.
Well, in fairness, we don't do that to you.
That's true. That's why I didn't feel any different. I suppose maybe I got it wrong. Maybe she's horrible. So yeah, she is, but she doesn't know her lines. So sorry about that, Liv.
So she plays the same weak character, but in a horrible way.
It is a very wishy-washy. There's no meat on the bone for this character at all.
I also feel like every scene she's in needs to be vignetted and misty, because she always says it as if it's like,
oh, Bruce.
It's the eyes, isn't it?
Is that you, Bruce?
I feel like I'm on a stroke. Maybe that's why I didn't do Liv Tyler's lines, because I'll always look like I'm on a stroke.
But she's always really gushy and sickeningly so in this film. It's like, oh, Bruce, how are you? I've missed you,
There
Bruce.
is no-
Even though Bruce just basically ditched her and ran away.
Yeah.
With no explanation whatsoever.
Bella
The
Norton.
first thing I would have done is punch him.
Yeah. Well, he wrote that into the script, and she said, "No, I'm not doing that."
What was in no punching?
No, I'm joking, but no, he wrote the script, so she probably would have punched you. But in this scene, I think that I think I'd probably punch you, and Bella Norton went, "No."
She probably wanted to punch him because
Yeah.
she lost the sweepstake of when that USP was coming out.
Yeah. Where's Ed? He's on the loo. He's rewriting.
He's taking the USB pen thing out.
You two are too obsessed with that USB pen, by the
He's
way.
now got anal bleeding.
Well, the irony is he doesn't even produce it that way, does
No,
he?
he
He
just-
swallows it. It stays
and then
in his
he
stomach.
pukes it up.
It stays in his stomach
Yeah.
for how long, and then he throws it up. I mean, I'm not being funny. How does that even work? If you were to swallow
Is that
something,
biologically possible, is what you're asking?
basically,
Yeah.
I mean, by the time you want to reproduce it a couple of hours later, there's only one way that's coming out, and it ain't through your mouth.
That's through your sphincter.
Well, it might be coming through your mouth if it's that. What's that film where they stitch everyone together?
Oh, the human centipede. Yeah, that's when your arse is your mouth. Have you seen that, by the way?
No, I just can't bring myself to watch it.
I've seen it.
I did rent it, looked at the... I rented it because I wanted to see what it was I was talking about, looked at the CD and then... the DVD, and then very quickly convinced myself that it's not something I want to expose myself to.
Funny thing is if you watched it, you'd probably rank it higher than the Hulk.
Probably anything would be ranking higher than the Hulk right now.
So she's not a good
Not
portrayal
at
of
all.
a female
No.
lead role.
No, very disappointed, and I'm a big lover of.
You get no
Liv.
backstory though, do you?
Nothing.
Well, I mean, just to give you an idea, tell us what you know about that character.
Well, given that I've missed the beginning part where it was all the backstory, she's obviously pissed with her dad. She thinks that the Hulk is gone, and then he suddenly reappears, and she obviously loves him and wants to protect him. And the end.
That's a fair synopsis.
Yeah.
We don't even go into her expertise as a scientist because that's what she is. She's a very intelligent scientist, a very gifted scientist because she worked with Banner in doing the thing that they were doing.
Yeah.
You get none of that, do you?
Lost
No.
it. No.
But you do in the 2002 one, which is why really what they should have done is done a kind of a hybrid of the two,
That's a weird thought. Norton with Tyler's lips.
and a USB protruding out of them.
Let the USB go.
That's what he's trying to do.
It's coming out sideways.
What if Liv Tyler's lips were his arsehole?
Stop it!
It'd be a bit more padded, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That's the visual I'm not going to unsee ever.
Well, they will.
There aren't that many other characters really of any interest.
Soldier
whatsoever.
5 was good.
Well, there's Lou Ferrigno. Fregno.
He's a
who's-
cameo, though, anyway.
He's a cameo, which is worth mentioning just because he was the original Hulk.
And he was an actually brilliant Hulk, because I remember him when I was a kid.
But beyond that, there isn't a big cast here at all.
Because it's a shit film. Don't bother watching it.
Yes. What other notes have I got here? So I have got. Ooh, let's have a look. I've got. He goes through clothes like I did in lockdown. These are the spur of the moment notes that I was making whilst we were watching this. I've got. She's got, as in Liv Tyler's character, who is Betty Ross, has Mark Latham's mobile phone. Do you remember? It hasn't dated well, this film, has it?
No.
With the tech.
It's true.
You've got the proper old school computer screens that are 15 metres deep. And they're deeper than they are width-wise.
Yeah. There's more components at the back than there is screen.
Yeah. And a mobile phone, which you need to use both hands to lift, which matches the mobile phone that Latham still uses.
It's true, it's not modern day technology.
Because of the NSA.
Yeah, you never know. I always burn phones, just snap them up and throw them in a bin.
Love
But
it.
also, it's like, like Apple going down.
Okay.
Mine never went down.
A caveman would look at his phone and probably find it a bit archaic.
Well, actually, they have found, archaeologists have found cave drawings with my phone that were painted by said caveman.
Unsurprised.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
What else? I put fat shaming. Why have I put fat shaming down?
probably because I might make some inappropriate comment. Oh, was it Stan Lee's cameo when he drinks and he makes a comment about him drinking it, and he went, "That's a bit fat shaming." Was it then?
What is Stan Lee's role in it? What?
Well, he goes through. So basically, in the course of the film, Edward Norton catches.
He drinks the.
So
stuff.
some of his blood goes in. So he catches. He's trying to fix the electrical wiring on the conveyor belt for the bottles that are being filled with this.
Ironically,
Gatorade
green stuff.
Yeah, and then he cuts himself, or something happens, and the blood spills, and he runs down to clear it up, and he thinks he catches it up, but some of the blood's gone into a bottle, which goes to circulation, which is how they find him in Mexico or wherever he is. And then the cameo for Stan Lee is he reaches to the back of his refrigerator, drinks it, suddenly has some sort of a thrombosis, and they were saying he was drinking it, and I'm sure that was linked to that.
I thought I noted that down because I did feel that there was a fat shaming moment in there. If anyone can remember, it is messages in. I've got Shit Clothes Banner. We've done that.
Shit Clothes Banner's a good name.
I've put memory pen would come out of the Hulk easier. I feel we've done the memory pen.
We've definitely done the memory pen.
I've also made. There's no way he would throw it up.
If the Hulk had the memory pen, then two things would either happen. It would shoot out like a bullet, or he'd crush it with his arse, wouldn't he? His sphincter would ruin that. Would you not think? Think about the Hulk's massive innie, and think about the weight to attach that arsehole.
Well, because there'd be some contractions, wouldn't there, through his intestines to push it out?
Yeah, I mean,
this is it there, making the actual movements in my hands.
That's what his sphincter looks like in real life. Just like a fist doing that. But imagine the Hulk's arsehole would be like solid, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, the fact that we are so focused on this bloody memory pen.
Yeah, because every time we give you a question, you just go, shit. So we have to, it's this padding. Because this show's 10 minutes long so far, so come on.
I've put world's shittest haircut disguise. I think that's when they're in the motel and Bruce Banner suddenly decides to change his haircut.
And
so
she's like,
he goes from a left-hand part into a right-hand part, and was it her?
She was cutting it.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, so she took a little bit off the sides. Yeah.
She was like, oh, you good. What? There was no change.
Like lockdown hair.
Seriously.
And then he just puts a baseball cap on it, because obviously baseball caps are well known for hiding your identity.
As the celebrity.
Well, I think I said at the time, he looks like the shittest paper boy.
Yeah.
Well, he does look like a knob in a hat.
Yeah.
Did no one think that he would not look like... Because there's other hats you can wear other than a baseball cap.
Could have put a bowler hat on.
Beanie hat.
Yeah. Top hat. Beret.
Balaclava.
That's not a hat.
Whatever. Would it look better?
It wouldn't, would he? Because you wouldn't see his face, would you?
That's the point.
He'd look like a terrorist.
That's the point. If you're trying to hide your identity, why don't you just do that?
That's a bank robber you've just described. But you see, don't forget, he wrote this. So every time they were like, yeah, that's great, Ed. That's it. Let's run that, Ed. Run it. They ain't going to go against it, are they? So when it comes out, everyone disavow him, go, yeah, I had nothing to do with that shit show.
They're all idiots.
Yeah.
On the basis they want to catch, I've put backdraft for fire on plane. I think what I was doing there was before the big climactic fight scene, they were on banners on the plane, and because they're obviously trying to capture Hulk.
Isn't that a Samuel L. Jackson film? Banners on a plane.
That's the X. They're trying to capture him, and on the basis that the general's daughter is also on the plane. This kind of goes down to they give no thought to what it is that they're doing, because they're just firing like buggery on this plane and just bring it down, don't they, in the end?
Yeah.
I mean, it's only Bruce whose solution is to throw himself out of the plane when he's not the Hulk, on the off chance that he may turn into the Hulk before he hits the ground.
Is that the only funniest part in it? That we might lose Edward Norton?
I've actually got a funny bit here, which is when they decide not to go on the underground. Because they don't want to get him angry, but then they go in the taxi and he gets more angry because taxi drivers are not portrayed as being great in this.
Do you want to be a sponsor, anyone, taxi drivers?
Yeah, we didn't slag you off. It was Edward Norton.
Yeah, he's a bell end.
Allegedly. I can't afford a bill from it. What else have we got?
That wasn't really that funny anyway.
No.
But yeah.
To be honest, I did actually smile at that bit. That was the only point of humour that I found.
Maybe they wheeled in Phoebe Waller-Bridge at that point to do the screenplay.
I've put, what is the low battery moment?
Answers on a postcard.
No one's going to rewatch. It's not the Marvel rewatch show, is it?
Most of the time it is.
Yeah, but not on the film that you think shit. This people are listening to this and they're going to. You just said don't listen, don't watch it, don't watch it.
I think the big. What did we think about the big climax scene then? We've been through my very basic notes, but what did you think about the big fight scene?
I think we should ask Latham first, because I'm just going to give you a one-word answer.
Go on then.
Go on, you say it. Tell
No,
us.
I want you to say
Shit.
why.
It's just boring. It's just two monsters that are really poorly CGI'd, just fighting.
I agree with that. I hate. That's why I hate things like Godzilla.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, because
Yes.
I get I can't relate to these big creatures just smashing buildings and getting up like there's absolutely nothing happened. If Captain America gets thrown through a building, he probably gets up and rubs his head and then perhaps cracks his neck and goes, "Oh, that smarted," and then gets stuck back in. But with these creatures, they get thrown through walls and walls and walls and never even flinch.
Maybe it's just indicative of my cerebralness, but I quite like things like that. I love Pacific Rim, which isn't the name of my autobiography. It's not specific rimming, it's a Pacific Rim. There's a difference between the two, in case you're interested.
So did you like this fight scene at the end then?
I like all types of fight scenes like that because it just shows overcoming.
Going back to the Pacific Rim again.
And also with USB popped out. I just like good versus evil, and they're always going to have that type of battle, aren't they? The CGI isn't great, by the way, so I'm not condoning the graphics. I'm just quite like the culmination of it. Would have been worse if they'd all have gone, Abomination's just got off, the Hulk's got off, and Thunderbolt Ross is just going, "Oh, I'll get you next time, Gadget." I like a big fight. The payoff may not be as what you want.
I mean, I
but
like a big fight too.
well, we'll have one later.
You're going to win, obviously.
Well, obviously, I'm glad you said that.
I've heard about his qualifications for fighting. I think I'm putting my money on you.
Yeah, I could have misled him.
I'm still putting my money on you.
He'll vote against you. It'll be like Shang-Chi. That's what'll happen. He'll say that, and then he'll come with a big pile of Brewsters, and he'll, what happened there? I voted against you. No, I just like any fight. So I do like the big monster films, but I think that's because I was brought up on the B movies. I know you two are like elder millennials, so unfortunately you've missed out on those wonderful things. But I like all that. I mean, I'm not saying it was great, but when we sat through an hour and a half of that shit, that was a good payoff.
I don't think it was a good payoff at the end. When Hulk eventually subdues Abomination, he just lets go of him.
Because he's not a killer.
Well, I know he's not a killer, but you'd think they might, I don't know, tie him up or do something that might stop him from, when he wakes up, just doing the same thing again.
I agree it wasn't well executed, the thought process, but as I've said throughout this, I don't put it down to anything other than too much power was given to one individual who wasn't a fan, isn't a fan, doesn't know. It's like basically giving Rian Johnson the keys to the Star Wars throne and ballsing it up entirely. Unless you're Gareth Edwards or you're J.J. Abrams and you know the story and you're a fan, it ain't going to work. And that's all that happened, and that's why the film is dire straits. Because if you're giving it to somebody, even if it was still owned by Universal, which it is, but even if it was still that Universal control, and they gave it to a screenplay writer who loved the comics, it would have been a different movie.
Now, ignoring the fact that they introduced Thunderbolt Ross into a later movie, and ignoring the fact that Abomination, not Tim Roth, but Abomination does appear in another film, albeit briefly, in the future, the only thing that links this to the Marvel Universe, in my opinion,
and the highlight of the actual film,
is what?
Iron Man showing up at the end.
And what else?
What else was there?
Yeah, you have to tell me. I'm going to sit here quietly and pretend that I'm on your side, Latham, but I can't remember either.
Okay, so Nick Fury gets mentioned, the S.H.I.E.L.D. gets mentioned, Stark Industry gets mentioned.
In that conversation where Iron Man turned up?
No.
Before that?
Yeah.
Oh,
well, actually in the opening credits that you didn't like.
Yeah.
All the blueprints of all the weapons that get used on Hulk.
Yeah, but that's impossible to have seen that stuff.
Yeah.
Not for us, because we had it recorded.
Well, I did miss it. I missed it that time.
You mentioned at the very beginning of this that you said the whole introduction to the exposition of the movie was the intro.
Yes,
so you didn't even
but
watch
the
the intro.
problem
Yeah,
was-
but I couldn't keep it. It was too quick.
One, it was too quick, and it was
And
only
cryptic.
after
And zoomed out.
it had already happened that I was like, what the hell was all that? And then you explained
Well,
it.
but we paused the movie.
We did,
didn't
because I was like, what just happened? So I didn't actually get any of it.
So no.
So nothing.
So Iron Man turning up was the only thing, and I'm with her on that, because
How fickle is that guy there?
I am.
I'm with you,
I
Latham.
agree.
I'm with Ishtar.
I am. I think Iron Man was the only thing that I feel legitimately links this, with the exception of the Abomination and Thunderbolt Ross, who I feel have not been shoehorned in the future, but reintroduced, but with no justification from or based on what was achieved in this movie, but rather because there's a purpose to those characters for the future.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you agree.
Thank you.
He does at the moment, but when I get to the Easter eggs, he'll soon flip-flop to my side, because it isn't the only one. It's the only one that you saw.
Okay.
Let's caveat it with that. The
Fine.
one when you didn't doze your way through the intro. if you go with that, it's the only one that you saw. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, to be fair, when Iron Man is like literally the last film you saw, you're gonna love it, aren't you? Because Iron Man turns up at the end.
Well, yeah.
But Iron Man earned you feeling that way, whereas the
massively.
Hulk hasn't.
Yeah.
No.
But in terms of placing it firmly in the universe, there's more grounding to that. It's just unfortunately you missed it, and that's fine.
Shall we do the Easter eggs first before we go into the my personal favourite part of the show, which
And
is
mine.
where we rank these films out of 10 and as against the other shows we watched, and then we look at whether any characters from these films make into our top 10 Marvel characters ever. So, Mark,
Shall
you
I?
got glasses on?
I'll just put them on now, yeah,
Do you normally wear glasses?
No.
for driving.
I've never seen you in glasses. You look very intelligent. It's quite unnerving.
Well, just throw them on. So you didn't recognise me,
Clark Kent. It worked.
because I was hoping you'd say, "Who are you? Where's Marco?"
That's what he said to Liv Tyler.
Yeah, she said to me, "Who are you?" And hang on a minute. That's what I did.
Bamboozle us.
So
and
I've
dazzle
got
us with
Easter
your
eggs, but I've
eggs.
also got some wonderful information that's additional that I should hopefully whet your appetite. So one of the things that happens across both DC and Marvel is they kind of steal each other's ideas. Case in point, Deadpool and Deathstroke. I don't know whether I'm going to steal what you've got in your notes, but basically, go on.
No, I will only have stolen it from you at some point anyway.
DC have a villain called Solomon Grundy.
Okay.
Wasn't very popular. Isn't very popular. Although
Worked on Monday.
Yeah, that's the actual thing. Yeah, I think he died on Tuesday, buried on Wednesday. I think that's the actual
Shit
thing.
out a USB on Thursday.
Yeah, crying on Friday.
It lived on Saturday.
Yeah, bleeding Sunday. But in the comics, he wasn't green. He was grey because Stan Lee wanted him to be grey. However, comics didn't portray the print well, grey, so he became green. And then later on, DC ripped off the Hulk by creating Doomsday, who you will have seen in
Superman. Oh, is it? Yeah, it was the Superman, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
And
that's the which Superman? What's his name?
it's the one who General Zod
Mr. Super
dies.
Mega Buff.
Yeah, it's Henry Cavill.
That's it. The Henry Cavill one. It's his first outing as.
Yeah. So other information. So the big trousers. The reason why they're purple is from an artist's perspective, as they show up particularly green and purple offer a nice contrast in the comics. And the reason why they are stretchy is because they are specially made by unstable molecules by one of the Fantastic Four, mostly Mr. Fantastic, because he can stretch.
I could do with a pair of them.
The
Me
Hulk,
too.
The Hulk can see.
After a burger.
Yeah, after you order your dirty burgers.
Yeah.
Damn right.
After a Five Guys.
Don't go there, lady.
If you'd like to be a sponsor of the show, you probably just want to sponsor Latham.
Oh.
And not listen to last week's episode.
I love a Five Guys.
Holy shit.
Whilst
Title
eating
of
your
his
burger.
porn
Stop
movie.
it.
Isn't it? Well, that's all right. When once I got rid of
Stop.
the USB.
Stop.
Anyway, the Hulk can see ghosts. loads of people have forgotten the powers he had, but he's one of the few characters that can see Doctor Strange when he's on the astral plane.
Why is that?
Just one of his powers.
Oh, that's a shit power.
I know, but there's loads he has, but people
Because
don't
there's
talk
no
about
real explanation for that, is there? What other powers does he have?
it. He can breathe underwater.
Who?
The Hulk.
Father Christmas. Sorry, have you just turned up? Please welcome the Rewatch show, a person why this show is actually existing, Ishtar Ali. Thank you for waking up from your coma. See, it does work. Whale music usually. You'll also be grateful to know that he has a great immune system, so he won't get COVID.
He doesn't have to wear a mask.
He can get served in any shop, and to be fair, no one's going to tell him to put a mask on, are they? Because he just punch him right out. And also, his blood is pretty good because because of the antibodies in his blood without the vaccinations for COVID, or I say vaccination, the barrier for COVID, his blood has actually been used to heal many of the Marvel superheroes. And thanks to the Hulk, he gave us Wolverine, because originally in the comics, Wolverine was sent by the Canadian government to kill the Hulk, and historically, it also brought to light Captain America and Thor, who appeared in earlier Hulk movies. So thanks to the early movies that nobody's seen. But you've seen the original series of the 1970s, haven't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. So we're moving into Easter eggs. The opening credits scene give us references to Stark Industries, Nick Fury, and S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
And also the weaponry that is used on the Hulk later in the show. With
you
the
get whiplash
Humvees.
from them doing it.
I mean, admittedly, I'll give you credit where it's due. They do fly in particularly quickly, and it is the world's...
And with no context for you to actually know what you're supposed to be looking for.
Exactly, and also it is the exposition to what goes on. Dr. Samson appears, and Dr. Samson is another character in the Marvel Universe who was capable of fighting the Hulk, a.k.a. Dr. Sasquatch. Rick Jones appears, and he is, in the comics, the friend of Bruce Banner, and is the reason why Bruce Banner originally got hit by the gamma bomb, because they were doing some testing and he was in the way, and Bruce Banner pushed him into a trench and ended up getting blasted with the gamma rays. And in the comics, he ends up being like a sidekick to Bruce Banner, sort of his friend. So he's in the film. Super Soldiers are mentioned, which is another reference to the MCU. It's the enhanced agility that's given to Captain America during World War II. Stan Lee gets a cameo, which we've mentioned before. There's also a diner called Stan Lee's, which is a big, huge shout out to Stan Lee, who co-wrote with Steve Ditko the Hulk, and also the owner of Stan Lee's, a guy called Paul Soules, is the guy who voiced the Hulk in the animated series Marvel Superheroes. We also get another callback to the 1970s show The Incredible Hulk with the theme tune Lonely Man, which was the same theme tune that was played in that series, along with the cameo of Luke Ferrigno, who played the Hulk in the same show. We get a wonderful fast-forward Easter egg to Spider-Man. Mr. Harrington appears, who was the computer nerd in this film, who was starring in the Culver University. He's the kind of nerd guy in the lab, and we see him in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
There's also that scene. It's probably in Easter eggs, but I want to get in early. There's that scene at the university which they introduce in What If? Yes. Which
Can I not?
No, you still can't watch them.
No.
I've only seen one so far.
No.
And hark, tell me, young man, where did you hear that?
Give him his credit, Paul.
It doesn't matter, I've got enough. I'll let him have that one.
All right.
But it was Mark's.
You can't watch them yet, can you?
No.
So when you got the Marvel Rewatch, you've got shitloads to watch, haven't you?
To be honest, I wouldn't really bother with the What Ifs. I think they're a bit poo.
Well,
I enjoy them, but I'm not a big comic fan. I'm not a big cartoon fan.
I'm not particularly, but also because they're not really real, it doesn't feel like it's got any gravitas.
No, but I think they do. Unfortunately, they will be implicated in the MCU's greater direction of where they're going. So unfortunately, it's kind of...
I will watch them for completeness sake, but...
Yeah, well, I was going to say, it's not me go-to, but for essential viewing of knowing what's going to happen, it's kind of helpful. Captain America gets a cameo. General Ross is a fan of Captain America and has a picture of him hanging in his office. Another reference to the MCU. S.H.I.E.L.D. is seen on a computer screen used by Bruce Banner. Another reference to the MCU. Dr. Reinstein, who gets mentioned on the label of the container that holds the super serum, is the alias to Dr. Abraham Erskine from Captain America: The First Avenger, which makes sense when you see them in release order, not chronological order. So the guy who you saw in the first film that we reviewed, that's the Dr. Reinstein is his alias. So another reference to the MCU. Purple pants, again, that's just his normal trademark pants from the comics. Abomination, we see, who Mark's already mentioned. The Leader, who is a villain from the comics, and what happens is Samuel Stearns basically gets radioactive material bombarded, and he ends up turning into a massive headed genius known as the Leader, who becomes a bit of a arch rival / enemy of the Hulk. The biggest one, which may have been overseen, is the package that Betty Ross sends to Bruce at the end of the film is addressed to David B.
Okay.
Now, in the TV show, they didn't call Bruce Banner Bruce, they called him David. So it was a reference to the TV series where he was called David instead, which was weird. A decision that in fact was made by made during the TV show's development by a guy called Kenneth Johnson, who went on record saying that David was changed from Bruce because it separated the show from the comics, because Marvel tend to have alliterative names. But he also later said that it was named after David, his own son. However, in a later interview, Stan Lee and Lou Ferrigno said that CBS executives demanded the name change from Bruce to David because they said it was too gay and feared the audience would believe Bruce Banner was a homosexual character.
Wow.
What?
Yep, true story. See, breaking news.
Always.
So there you go. And then again, at the end, we've already mentioned Tony Stark appears to talk about his Avengers initiative.
Well, technically, it's not his, is it?
No, it's
Nick Fury's.
So to imply it's his is a bit naughty.
It's typical of Tony
It's a bit
Stark.
like me quoting stats and information and interesting facts about Marvel and then pretending I didn't steal them from Mark.
Or me doing that, pretending I did steal it from you.
That's it.
Well done, Mr. Latham. Thank
Loved
you very
it.
much for that.
Amazing.
A great job as always. Now, the hard work isn't over because...
Well, it pretty much is.
Let's do the heavy lifting.
Because it's now time for us to give the film a score out of 10, which we will then rank as against the movies that we watch as we go through. We will also then have an opportunity to choose characters from this film that we can add into what will ultimately conclude as being our top 10 Marvel characters. To set out the ground rules, any characters can go in, and we have a chance to move them around as we go through the film. So, for example, there's 3 Captain America movies, so where Captain America currently sits can be moved when we get to those other films if, for example, your opinion of the character has changed, whether it be good or for the bad, and therefore can move up and down. So, with that in mind, dare we go to Ish first to get her thoughts for the movie? We already know what your thoughts are. What are you going to give this out of 10? Now, before you give me the answer, would you like me to read out
Go ahead.
the score so far? So, number 1 is Iron Man. You gave 9. Captain America came in second, 7. Captain Marvel came in third at 6. So, where's Hulk going in this, and what score out of 10 are you giving it?
Obviously last.
Okay.
1 out of 10. Shittest film I've seen in my life.
Is it though?
Seriously. I ain't getting those 2 hours back, and that did not add any value to this process at all.
Well, it was longer than 2 hours because I kept pausing it.
Yeah, because I needed a little bit of background.
Maybe I should...
Wow.
1 out of 10. No hesitation.
The hips on there, it's like the body language is just oozing.
Yeah, she's proper aggressive,
Angry,
isn't she? Yeah. It's like hands on hips, leaning forward. You want to argue with me, I'm going to punch the shit out of you.
A little bit. No,
I'm going to grab that USB and pull it right out your sphincter. Isn't it?
1 out of 10. I
was contemplating 2 out of 10, but I just can't even justify it.
Just split the difference in it.
Yeah.
What's the average of that? 1.
Yeah,
Wow.
I can't justify anything more than that. Did it add any value to my Marvel journey so far? Nothing.
I mean, that's a fair comment. And it's a personal opinion on the score, but it is a fair comment.
So, yeah.
Okay. Latham, do you want me to read out your scores?
No, I've got them in front of me. And
Okay.
And so, in terms of where I score this is number 6. That's 6 out of 10.
Yeah, but do you want to read out to the listeners what your other ones
listeners.
are?
Yeah, I thought it was all about me then. So basically, the scores so far, I scored Iron Man 9 out of 10, the first one. I've scored Captain America 8. So no, Captain Marvel 8 out of 10, and Captain America was 7 out of 10. So we've got. So basically, what we've got here is a descending scale, because this is going in at number 4, 6 out of 10. And the reasoning behind it is because I always mark these on the greater surroundings, which is Edward Norton did fuck it up big time, is a bell end, but I did like the fight with Abomination, and I thought that was quite strong.
Okay.
I mean, you know, I could get into all of the stunts and all that malarkey, but I just thought it was, it wasn't as strong as others.
I thought I was getting to understand the Latham logic, but you just threw it out the water with that one.
Because but I score it based on other things.
I know you do, and I thought I was on the same page, but I can't even get behind that.
She cannot.
I literally cannot
Condone that.
6 out of 10. What the actual fuck?
Buffoonery.
Anyway.
Right. Anyway, opinion.
Go on, Pollard.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's the first time anyone's ever asked me what I
know,
think.
I was going to say, we always leave you last.
Yeah, you do.
You know you could do is, seeing as you control this area, you could go first.
I know, but I like to be asked.
Well, that's never going to happen, is it?
I'm going to, well, let me read out my score. So I also have Iron Man 1 as the top movie, 9 out of 10. So it was a full house for Iron Man for that. Captain America came second, 8 out of 10, and Captain Marvel got 7 out of 10.
So we're the same. So we've literally...
No, the scoring's the same, but Captain America and Captain Marvel are reversed.
Okay.
I have America second, you have Marvel second.
Yeah, okay.
Hulk is obviously going in at 4 because it's way by far the worst of those 4 movies. I'm going to give it 4 out of 10. And here's how I come up with these scores. So, in my head, films that are 1 and 2 are utterly atrocious, they are offensive, and I probably wouldn't make it all the way through the film. 3 and 4 are films I just fundamentally did not enjoy and would never watch again. 5 and 6 are films which are palatable, but I'm not asked about seeing them again. 7 and 8 are films I enjoyed and would see again, and 9 and 10 are films that I could quite happily watch every single day for the rest of my life because they're super mega and amazing. And that's how I've scored it, and Hulk falls into that. I just genuinely didn't really enjoy this film at all. I get angry, as I've already mentioned, about the fact that if it makes me have to read other stuff in order to understand what it's been feeding me, then I'm out. So yeah, I feel quite angry and bitter and twisted towards this, and I'm glad that I have mentally dismissed this from the Marvel Universe, and perhaps that's why I had, and I just couldn't remember.
You see, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like when you've seen something, you haven't seen this before.
No.
Whereas I suspect you have at some point seen
it.
Yeah,
I've definitely seen it before,
it. And because I've also seen the 2002 one.
And I've seen that one as well, but I
would
remember.
say at the back of your subconscious, there's something there that's given you the reason why it's 4, because fundamentally it's flawed for the reasons I've been banging on about. Is if Edward Norton wasn't given as control as he had, and somebody came in who's a fan, I reckon you might not give it an 8 or 9, but I'd definitely you'd give it a 7.
But you know that point that you made that you might not finish watching it. I don't think I would have finished watching this film if I hadn't been with you two.
No, you see, I would have done because I don't think it was bad enough, but I could get on board with someone making that claim.
Not after the 3 that we've already watched, anyway.
Okay, so our top 10 characters.
Who's going first on that?
Well,
I'll go first because it's 0 change in mine.
No one.
Not a single character.
Okay, I'll come back to this because I do have a question that will allow us to do some analysis. Latham?
Mine is staying the same because I've got Iron Man as top, and he is the character I would take from this film.
He's a clever little cookie.
Oh, I love it.
So anyone else?
So no, I think the only other one, and it's because of what you said, is Thunderbolt Ross. That's the only other one, and it would be a tactical manoeuvre because I know where he comes into. In fact, actually,
but arguably you could add him in.
Well, actually, I'll tell you what we are going to do. We are going to do some shifting around. So Iron Man's staying as it is. We're going to lose Ironmonger. He's gone. And I'm going to throw in Abomination there because I think Abomination's a better villain.
Okay.
And then we're going to lose Pepper Potts for now. And we're going to throw in Thunderbolt Ross.
Would you not want to move them all down?
Yeah, okay, we'll do that then. If it makes it easier for your typing.
No, not really.
Two hard returns.
So number 9 is Thunderbolt
So
Ross.
number 9 is Thunderbolt Ross, and then obviously number 8, or what was Ironmonger, is now Abomination.
Okay.
And again, the reason for that is because of what you alluded to earlier on, which is other information I'm aware of now.
Yeah, I'm not going to put any of these characters in because I don't think any of them deserve to go in my top 10 based on this film. And I can't allow any bias of what might happen in the future to cloud it, although arguably by the time we get to the point where like Thunderbolt Ross is reintroduced as a character, there's that many other characters washing around, he's got 0 chance of getting in the top 10. Okay, so we've got none of those. Now before I throw out my question to you two, which will allow some analysis, I'll run through the top 10 as we have it. So Ish, your top 10 characters currently stand at 1 Iron Man, 2 Coulson, 3 Bucky Barnes, 4 Talos, 5 Pepper Potts, 6 Obi Stane, or Obadiah Stane, 7 Red Skull, 8 Captain America, 9 Nick Fury, and 10 are Flurkin.
Damn good list, that.
Latham, yours is number 1 Iron Man, number 2 Talos, number 3 Red Skull, number 4 Bucky Barnes, number 5 Captain America, number 6 Peggy Carter, number 7 Ronan the Accuser, number 8 Abomination, number 9 Thunderbolt Ross, number 10 Pepper Potts.
Yeah.
And mine, I've got Cap, number 1, Iron Man 2, Coulson 3, Pepper Potts 4, Nick Fury 5, Talos 6, Peggy Carter 7, Red Skull 8, Bucky Barnes 9, and Jarvis 10. Right. The analysis question. Ignoring the top 10 for a second, let's rank the characters of this movie in your top, however many you want to quote as being characters worthy of being mentioned in this movie. Let's say maybe 5 characters. So, who would be your best favourite character from this film?
Abomination.
Okay.
Number 1.
Yeah.
He was the best one.
Mm-hmm.
The General.
Mm-hmm. Reluctantly, she says.
It's really a really difficult list. The Boyfriend.
Leonard. He's only in it for about 5 seconds.
There you go.
Who?
He wasn't in it long enough to fuck it up.
Soldier 5.
He was good, Soldier 5. He knew not to keep firing.
I quite like the Italian geezer from the restaurant because it made me want Italian.
Yeah.
Whilst eating the pizza.
And
Yeah.
then
So you were actually having an Italian.
It made me enjoy my pizza even more.
and then Liv Tyler. Was that 5?
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
What about you?
Me, okay, so I'm going to go with Emil Blonsky. So I mean,
Yeah.
Iron Man would be first, simply because just because of Iron Man. So I've probably got Iron Man first.
Oh, you're going on your technicality again.
Yeah, I'm going to have to, aren't I? Because it's still part of the movie.
No, that's fine.
technically.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Oh.
You want to? It's too late-ish. You've missed
We
that.
watched the same film.
And in fairness, he did mention Iron Man in his top 10
Literally, just
5
then.
minutes ago.
Yeah. So I would go Iron Man top 1. I would go Emil Blonsky, not specifically Abomination, simply because I think Tim Roth played him very well. And I like Abomination.
Oh, that's a really good shout because I agree with that.
Yeah.
You are so regretting your top 5. You wish Latham had gone first, don't you?
Every time. I need to make sure that you always go first so I can just be like,
Copy.
yeah, whatever he said.
Yeah. Ditto. That's literally going to be #ditto.
Basically.
Boom. So that's 2, isn't it? I would have the leader as 5 because I like him and obviously comics and all that. Technically, you could have the Abomination as a separate character because it is.
Yeah.
I'd have him as 4, and then 3 would be Thunderbolt Ross.
Okay.
So yeah, so Iron Man, Emil Blonsky, Thunderbolt Ross, Abomination, the leader.
Okay.
Go on. All right, my lord.
Well, I have to say, I'm going to take a leaf out of Lathan's book because I've gone after him. So Iron Man was the best person in this film, even though he was in for about 2 seconds. Emil Blonsky is absolutely a good shout because he was actually a really interesting character.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoyed him more as a character as the human with the powers and the warped mind than Abomination. So he would go in as my number 2. Thunderbolt Ross will go in at number 3 because he was a knob, but at least he made it interesting by being a knob. And to be honest, I'd probably, as I've already said, I'd put the owner of the Italian restaurant in at 4 because it made me hungry. And I'd put Lou Ferrigno,
yeah.
Yeah, Lou Ferrigno in because he was the original Hulk, and everyone else can go and swing because they were dreadful.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing is that you think about the actors behind the roles. They essentially, so if you look at, like, you keep saying Iron Man's good. If it wasn't for how he's played by Robert
Downey
Jr., could you see him playing any other character? And the same when you saw the audition, you've seen the audition tape for when Tom
Holland.
No, not Tom Holland, the other Tom.
Oh,
One who plays
Hiddleston.
when Tom Hiddleston auditioned for the role of Thor, it looks odd because he's not Thor. And so...
I mean, but we had this conversation about Pepper Potts and whether or not Gwyneth Paltrow made Pepper Potts or if it was Pepper. It wasn't Gwyneth Paltrow.
No, but that just shows you star power. The guy who plays Thunderbolt Ross, when he was played by another character he was played by Sam Shepard in the 2002... Is it Sam Shepard?
Sam Elliott.
Now, Sam Elliott's good actor. Usually see him doing country western type movies, but you think about who plays those characters. I actually think that the Thunderbolt Ross in this one is played better by the actor than Sam Elliott played him. And so I do think that even though the script and the screenplay is probably utter pants, the people that make the characters usually tend to be how the actors are, and so I think that's why. Some of them, like particularly with
Chris Evans and Captain America.
Yeah, and so Tim Roth plays him really, really well.
Yeah,
and that was what fans picked up on, and he gets a lot of screen time because it would have been, I think, a bit annoying if they went straight to Abomination without that evolution of the character, because you would have just been as CGI to the max, and you've got that uncanny valley situation where, particularly with the fact the CGI is diabolical, you're not believing it, so you come away going, I've just watched a cartoon character on screen, and so Tim Roth really sells that character.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Okay, guys, well, let us know what your thoughts are on the Hulk. Where are we right? Are we wrong? Would you like to elaborate slightly more than Ishtar has in this episode?
Appreciate the rewatch.
I mean, I have no words, I'm sorry.
I never got that.
I'm usually really well prepared, as you both know. I make a copious amount of notes, but this just wasn't there for me. I'm hoping I
mean, you turned up, you get pointed turning up.
Well,
technically it is your show, isn't it? So you turned up to it.
Yeah. And we still got over an hour of content, so
thanks
was
to
all right.
Pollard.
Well done, Pollard.
So subscribe, as I've already mentioned, get in touch, as I've already mentioned. The next film on our list is what, guys?
Iron Man 2.
Which is good.
Yep.
I already can feel it.
I was going to say, how do you know it's good?
Anything is going to be better than this one, isn't it?
You're just excited to see another Iron Man movie because
because I just love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We know where this is going. Yeah. Let's see how far Winter Soldier gets on your list. Bucky Barnes will be gone in 5 movies. Yeah. By the time you get to Thor, you'll be like, Bucky
what?
Who? Yeah.
Oh, no.
Okay. So listen to that. We'll be releasing the Iron Man 2 show 2 weeks after this one drops. So that gives you some nice time to watch the show, make some notes, listen along, and let us know what your thoughts are. And actually, if you do listen to it before the show comes out, if you drop us a message either by email or on social media, we'll include your comments in the show.
Yeah.
Splendid. Guys, thank you very much for that, Mr. Latham, as always.
No, pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for attending, Ishtar.
You're very welcome.
I will be like Edward Norton is and just appreciate your
shitness.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And thank you for tuning in, listeners. Speak to you in, 2 weeks' time?
2 weeks' time.
Excelsior!
Get social at The Two Marks on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Also check them out on YouTube.